TV, you'll be surprised. With regards to shady arrangements by legislators, the Democrats without question corner the market over the Republicans. There are an excessive number of cases to identify, and it is absurd to do as such at any rate, seeing that the leftists are very agile with regards to the snare and switch technique for debating. When you think you have them cornered, they weasel out of a tight spot with the full help of the mainstream media fake news organize. Utilizing a place of influence to impact awesome cash-making plans for you, your family and your companions is likewise another way that government officials appear to have the capacity to transform a $170K plus in yearly pay into a lucrative seven-figure wage before the finish of their run. Congressperson Bernie Sanders and his wife are entangled in their own scaled-down outrage that has all the earmarks of being grabbing steam of late, including a little school of which Jane Sanders was the president. Amid that time, she was said to have wrongfully secured an exceptionally lucrative advance, a credit that Bernie supposedly harassed the bank to give, that raised more than a couple of eyebrows. On CNN, Bernie chose to lay the accused unequivocally for the shoulders of the GOP. Independent Journal Review: Senator Bernie Sanders, IVT, has been hounded recently after the FBI began investigating his wife, Jane, for fraud while she was president of Burlington College from 2004 to 2011. Jane Sanders is accused of committing fraud to get a $10 million loan in order to expand the small Vermont school. I know this will shock the viewers. The vice president of the Vermont Republican Party, who happened to be Donald Trump's campaign manager, raised this issue and initiated this investigation. I think what you're looking at is something that the Republican National Committee is very excited about. You can watch the full interview here. Not only that, he blamed partisan politics for targeting his wife, saying that American politics in 2017 involves attacking families and children. Sadly, we are in a moment when parties not only attack public officials, they have to go after wives and children. You know, this is pathetic, and that's the way politics is in America today. Ordinarily, prominent government officials, particularly the individuals who are lifers, which means they don't concur with term points of confinement and serve for a considerable length of time, aren't at any point truly rebuffed for their violations. They once in a while invest any energy in jail for their illicit activities, and one is unable to discover numerous that are ever snickered out of Swampland, USA. This surely seemed like one of those runs-of-the-mill cases of individuals in control accomplishing something illicit, getting got, and after that going on their joyful little way, while the FBI shrieks cheerfully past the burial ground, imagining it's all only an unfortunate mix-up. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for reading. H.T. Independent Journal Review. Caught. Arkansas bar gives Hillary Clinton the worst news of her life. Hillary Clinton is always in hot water, yet, she's never held accountable for all the crimes she commits. She and her rapey husband are the perfect examples of elitist privilege. Now, however, Hillary, a lawyer, may have to pay a price, as the Arkansas bar is weighing potential punishment for the former First Lady, who is not very popular in that neck of the woods. The punishment involves Clinton's repeated lies under oath to Congress. From Washington Times, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton escaped criminal charges last year, but her legal troubles may not be over. The Arkansas State Bar has promised a decision by next month on disciplinary action. And the State Department continues to probe Mrs. Clinton's mishandling of classified information, with an eye toward deciding whether she and several top aides should maintain their access to classified information at the State Department. The department's investigation is ongoing, officials said in a letter to Senator Charles E. Grassley, which the Iowa Republican released earlier this month. The department said Mrs. Clinton still has access to documents created or reviewed during her time in office. Meanwhile, some 7 aides have access to limited classified information, the department confirmed. It said their access is also under review. Mrs. Clinton sent and received thousands of emails with material now deemed classified, including some with top-secret information, from a secret account she maintained on a server she kept at her home in New York. The FBI probed her email use but declined to suggest charges against her. Then FBI Director James B. Comey said she was too inept with technology for him to prove she knowingly put national security at risk. But the issue continues to dog her, not only at the State Department but as a lawyer. Ty Clevenger, a New York lawyer, filed an attorney misconduct complaint last year against Mrs. Clinton in Arkansas, accusing her of dishonest behavior and lying under oath in testimony to Congress. In an email Wednesday, Michael Lee Harmon, Deputy Director of the State Bar's Office of Professional Conduct, told Mr. Clevenger he's still working the matter. "Is my hope to have something to you by the middle of July at the latest," Mr. Harmon wrote. Mrs. Clinton's ability to practice law in Arkansas has been suspended for her failure to keep up on continuing education requirements, but it could be reinstated. Mr. Clevenger is also asking for discipline in other venues against Mrs. Clinton's lawyers during the email fiasco: David Kendall, Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson. His initial complaints in Maryland were blocked, but he's sued to compel an investigation. Shocking: Supreme Court destroys liberals as they pass Trump's travel ban. Supreme Court finally passed President Trump's travel ban order as they lifted the restrictions, with only people who have a legitimate connection to America being left immune to the order. The court wrote, "To begin, we grant both of the government's petitions for certiorari and consolidate the cases for argument. The clerk is directed to set a briefing schedule that will permit the cases to be heard during the first session of October term 2017. They also substantially lifted the restrictions. We accordingly grant the government's stay applications in part and narrow the scope of the injunctions as to 2C. The injunctions remain in place only with respect to parties similarly situated to DOE, Dr. Elshick, and Hawaii. In practical terms, this means that it may not be enforced against foreign nationals who have a credible claim of a bona fide relationship with a person or entity in the United States. All other nationals are subject to the provisions of EO2. What do you think of this? Share your opinion. Wow! Trump haunts Michelle Obama's legacy. There was nothing Michelle Obama was more proud of from her time as First Lady than her strides in the area of nutrition as she tried to combat obesity in America. But then a twist took place when on Tuesday, Donald Trump's Food and Drug Administration announced something big related with her legacy. The Washington Post reported that the FDA just announced an indefinite delay in the launch of nutrition fact labels that were intended to help Americans eat more healthy. These labels had been championed by Michelle, and they aim to add a special line for added sugars and emphasize calorie content in large, bold text. These labels were scheduled to be rolled out in July 2018, with a one-year extension for smaller manufacturers, but this announcement represents a major step back. This isn't the first time the Trump administration has attacked Michelle's nutrition plans. The FDA previously pushed back rules that would have required calorie counts on restaurant menus. 1 week later, Trump's Department of Agriculture loosened the requirements of Michelle's infamous school lunch plan for the amount of whole grain allowed in meals. The FDA came with a statement: after careful consideration, the FDA determined that additional time would provide manufacturers covered by the rule with necessary guidance from FDA, and would help them be able to complete and print updated nutrition fact panel. Shocking: Comey caught lying under oath. How could he? With regards to presenting with the FBI, Mr. Comey was unmistakably extremely dynamic as its chief. He's managed numerous amazingly touchy issues, something that does not shock anyone for a man in his position. The issue is it now appears as though he may be a guilty party rather than the person who should be getting the awful folks. Assuming genuine, this is particularly irritating as we are discussing the previous chief of the country's head law authorization organization, not some staff individual from Hillary Clinton. Not exclusively would conferring such offenses place himself in lawful danger, yet it must be an appalling demoralization to the dedicated operators who are presenting with the FBI. What now conveys this to a head is his confirmation, under promise, that he sent private, yet unclassified notices, to a partner that they may be leaked. To exacerbate the situation, it shows up these archives contained grouped data. So the previous leader of the FBI, rather than driving an investigation, is presently the subject of one, and an intense one at that. The Hill provided the flashback. So did you not consider your memo or your sense of that conversation to be a government document? Senator Roy Blunt, RMO, asked Comey on June 8. You thought it was, somehow, your own personal document that you could share with the media as you wanted through a friend? Correct, Comey answered. I understood this to be my recollection of my conversation with the president. As a private citizen, I thought it was important to get it out. So from the earliest starting point, this has been an odd story. Obviously, the director of the FBI has a staff that could release data to the general population without experiencing some companion. So why the outsider contribution? At that point, we get to the part that has landed Mr. Comey stuck in an unfortunate situation. But Hill also reported that, after reviewing the memos, the FBI came to a very different conclusion. But when the 7 memos Comey wrote about his 9 conversations with Trump about Russia earlier this year were shown to Congress in recent days, the FBI claimed that all were, in fact, deemed to be government documents. While the Comey memos were previously reported, this is the first time that there has been a number connected to the amount of memos that the former FBI chief wrote. 4 of the memos had the markings making clear that they contained information classified on a secret or confidential level, according to officials directly familiar with the matter. President Trump remarked on the wrongdoing of this and is not by any means the only one to make such comments. This is what exacerbates Comey. Look, even Comey's own actions, coupled with the testimony declaring that he leaked information, which we now know may have been classified, to a friend with the absolute intention of making it public, suggests that he intentionally violated the same law under which he gave Clinton a pass. Maybe Mr. Comey is planning to get the same pass that he provided for Hillary. He best not rely on that, as a far various group is currently in control in Washington. And every one of those on the left who was anxious to bounce on President Trump over his firing of Mr. Comey will probably turn out to be extremely noiseless as they attempt to abstain from discussing their past blame dealing. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for reading. H.T. Independent Journal Review. Seconds ago. President Trump fires 500 employees from an agency, saves taxpayers a bundle. Some veterans, especially the individuals who are significantly much older, require a great deal more cataclysmic care and normal visits. The administration, as we are generally very much aware, is not the best association with regards to, well, association. The Veterans Administration is to the corporate world what a lemonade stand is to a Dunkin' Donuts. President Trump had guaranteed amid his campaign more than once that he would locate a productive approach to take care of the issues related to the Veterans Administration, regardless of the possibility that it came down to firing the part and beginning once again. Maybe many took him to be talking allegorically. However, it appears that he was dead genuine, in light of the fact that Trump has quite recently fired 500 government workers in the VA. From the Blaze, a new report says more than 500 employees have been fired at the agency, and another 200 have been suspended. The Daily Caller reported on the statistics released by the department because of Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin as part of their commitment to transparency. Those disciplined include 22 senior leaders, more than 70 nurses, 14 police officers, and 25 physicians, it was reported. Trump repeated his promise constantly during his campaign that he would fix the scandalous reports from the Veterans Affairs offices. In July during his presidential campaign last year, then candidate Trump promised we will never allow any veteran to suffer or die waiting for care. While some VA offices provide admirable care to our military, others have been crippled with inefficiency and incompetence to such a degree that they were accused of causing deaths among those seeking health care. Conservative critics of the Veterans Affairs Office have advocated for a free market-based solution where those veterans seeking medical assistance would be given a voucher to arrange for their own health care rather than having to be channeled into government-provided care. Shulkin has indicated that he wants to seek private industry solutions to the problems of the care that the government provides to veterans. The stunning thing about this is the manner by which the left-wing media has responded to this with a major yawn. Some have even communicated shock at how these poor laborers will now need to battle for themselves in a consistent employment advertise where the advantages and the compensation is a great deal less. It's insane how another president with an alternate point of view on this entire chaos that is the Veterans Administration can enter the shred, figure out what the issue is with some sleuthing, lastly develop with a working intent to settle the issues. All while sparing a huge amount of citizen cash. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for reading. H. T. The Blaze.